Hello everyone, myself Lakshana Mantracha. I am presenting the topic of haptic feedback enhancing the touch in the virtual reality. We will discuss what is the virtual reality and what is the haptic feedback, what are the types of that in the next slides. Virtual reality. Virtual reality it is a technology that immerses users in a simulated three-dimensional environment. Users interact with these digital worlds through the VR headsets, controllers, and sensors. The goal of the virtual reality is to provide the experience that feels being physically present in the different spaces, whether it is real or imaginary. We will see in the next slide the brief of the virtual reality. How virtual reality works. The headset display. A VR headset display the stereoscopic 3D images, creating depth in perceptions. It tracks head movement to change the visual perspective in the real time. Tracking system. The sensors are track the user's movement like head, hands, body, and allowing them to interact with the virtual environment. Controllers. The handheld devices enables the user to interact with the virtual objects, pressing buttons and all. Immersion in VR. The visual and auditory elements. Virtual reality typically involves the combinations of visual and auditory cues, where user can see and hear their environment. Interaction. The more immersive and responsive the virtual environment, the more realistic it feels. Why touch is important? Touch plays a crucial role in humans' interaction with the real world. Without the sensation of touch, VR can feel less immersive. This is where haptic feedback comes in. We will see what is the haptic feedback in the next slides. What is haptic feedback? Haptic feedback refers to use of tactile sensation to simulate touch, pressure and texture in the virtual environment. It allows users to feel virtual objects or surfaces as though they were real. The haptic word comes from Greek word haptikos, meaning is able to touch or related to the sense of the touch. How the haptic feedback works. Technology behind it, the haptic devices uses actuators, motors, sensors to generate the vibrations, motions, forces that our user can feel. This sensation mimics the touch or interactions with the virtual objects. Signals and responses. When a user performs an action like pressing a button, touching the surface, the device sends signals that create the physical response like vibrations or pressures. Examples of the haptic feedback is a vibration feedback, common in the smartphones or game controllers. For example, when you touch an icon on the phone screen, you feel a slight buzz. The purpose of haptic feedback in virtual reality is to enhancing the realism and improve the user experience. Types of haptic feedback in virtual reality. There are four types of haptic feedback. First is vibrational feedback, then force feedback, texture feedback, and thermal feedback. Let's see what is the vibration feedback. It uses the small motors and actuators to create vibrations, simulating sensations like impact, collisions of surface textures. For example, in the gaming controllers and VR controllers. And the force feedback. It provides the resistance or physical force to simulate weight, pressure, or resistance to movement. This type of feedback makes action feel more lifelike by mimicking how object interacts in the real world. For example, like steering wheels and flights simulators and medical training, simulating the resistance felt when using the surgical tools. Third one is the texture feedback. It simulates the texture of surfaces, giving users the sensation of feeling rough, smooth, or varied surfaces in virtual world. For example, the surfaces interaction, feeling the difference between soft fabric and rough rock in the VR environment. And the thermal feedback, it simulates the temperature changes, allowing users to feel warmth or cold when they interacting with the virtual objects. For example, like feeling the warmth of the virtual campfire or coldness of the ice floe in the realistic interactions. How haptic feedback works. In this, first of all, the user will perform some action. Then the signal is processing. In data is interpretation. The input data is sent to the central processing unit. Then it's generating the feedback. After that, the actuators create the physical sensations like vibration motors, force motors, and heat generation. Heat generators for the thermal feedback. And then particular task is performed. We will see the diagram in the next slide. Here is the block diagram. Touch the screen and capacitive buttons. Then it will send to the controllers and analog and digital signals are generated. It sends to the processor and driver and actuators, and then the vibrations that are created and the user actions is performed. Here are the examples. In the haptic gloves, track hand movements and simulate the feelings of grasping or touching objects by applying vibrations or resistance at the different points on the hand. Haptic controllers used in the gaming and VR. These controllers generate the vibrations or forces to simulate actions like shooting, pulling, or loading. Haptic waste, wearable waste provided physical sensations to the body, such as feeling a heat or impact in a game or VR scenarios. Here are the applications of the haptic feedback in the virtual reality and gaming. Feeling hits, movements, and object interaction, and medical training, design, and prototyping, like 3D models in the virtual space. Military training, enhancing the realism in combat simulations. In conclusion, haptic feedback in the virtual reality experience by adding the essential sense of touch, enhancing immersion, and making virtual interactions more realistic through various forms of feedback, vibrations, force, texture, and even temperature. Users can feel as though they are interacting with the real object in the virtual world. This technology has already made a significant impact in the industries such as gaming, medical training, simulation, where the physical sensations add the new level of engagement. Thank you.